Chapin Fay, the spokesperson of the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. Hello, and thank you for granting us this interview.
Thank you for having me.
So you currently operate about 4 distribution centers around the Gaza Strip, estimates feeding around 500,000 people. Why only 4 distribution centers?
Well, so we were envisioned to have 8 sites from the beginning, but it is an active war zone, and the IDF is responsible for securing Gaza, and we operate where they have secured. So we have distributed 136 million meals, over 136 million meals in just 3 months. The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation is an independent, neutral humanitarian aid organization with one mission and one mission alone, which is to feed the people of Gaza in a way that Hamas can't steal it.
Have you been successful about it? Because at the moment we're seeing the pictures coming from Gaza. The food distribution mechanism seems pretty chaotic.
Well, so ours is not chaotic. If you compare it to, for example, the United Nations system, which is to drive trucks, into Gaza, which are immediately looted. Armed men, you can see them riding around Gaza City on them. At worst, and at best, it's thousands of hungry, desperate people swarming on a truck, pulling the truck drivers out. People are getting run over and trampled, and the aid is getting destroyed as people rip it apart. If you look at our model, we have what we call safe distribution sites. Like you mentioned, we had 4 of them, and we open every day, and we distribute, an average of I think 20 truckloads a day, and we put the aid into the sites first, and we use armed convoys to protect the aid from diversion.
Why is there no proper registration system? How do you make sure that Hamas is not sending their families 3 times a day, 4 times a day to get food?
Well, so we put our aid directly into the hands of the people who need it. And we are basically an emergency food distribution program, right? And we're innovating every day to make sure exactly what you're talking about, that the right people get it at the right time. And we are starting to do that with our reservation system. We believe more aid is the answer to many of these problems. And we've seen one of the reasons our distributions are smoother and smoother every single day is because the pressure is starting to come down, right? The consistency matters. They know they can come today, tomorrow, morning, afternoon, and get their aid.
So how do you explain the world's, campaign, famine campaign against Israel?
Well, so I can't explain that, and the debate over the term famine is for others. Certainly there's hungry people, desperate hungry people in this war zone, and so we're trying to alleviate that. We feed people every single day. We are one part of this. GHF was never meant to replace the UN. We are meant to be one piece in what is a very complex solution to one of the most complex humanitarian crises of our lifetime.
And it seems also the UN is changing the conditions in order for them to fit Gaza, to show the world, look, there is famine in Gaza.
So you'd have to ask the United Nations about that. Our concern with the United Nations is that they, for a while, refused to collaborate with us. They refused to deliver their aid, even though it was in Gaza. They were claiming that they weren't allowed in when that was not true.
What do you think is that?
You'd have to ask them. It could be corruption, it could be politics, it could be any number of reasons.
Would you say the UN is cooperating with Hamas?
The United Nations, by their own metrics over the past 3 months, have gotten almost 90% of their aid diverted. That means 10% of the aid gets into the hands of the aid seekers who need it. We're at 100% delivering and 0 diversion.
Can UNRWA be trusted to provide food and aid to the Gazans, let's say, after the war is over?
So again, that's a decision for the government of Israel. The reason we are there is the government of Israel lost faith in the legacy system, the prior system.
And I have to ask you, because we're talking so much about distributing food to the Gazans, while we still have hostages down in Hamas tunnels, not getting any visits from the Red Cross, not getting any food whatsoever. Where's the world?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, some of your colleagues in the media have been really irresponsible in some of the headlines and some of the news. And again, you'd have to ask them about their agenda. But, like I said, our mission is to feed the people of Gaza in a way that Hamas or anyone else cannot take the aid away and steal it.
Why do you think one of the conditions of Hamas for a hostage deal was closing down the GHF?
Because the model's working. I mean, that's all you need to know about the success of our model and what we're doing. We are feeding people. Hamas loots aid from other organizations and they sell it back to their own people at price gouging prices that they can't afford. That's how Hamas keeps control with the aid. We believe they made $1 billion during this war alone in stealing humanitarian aid. They have been unable to steal any of our aid. There has been zero diversion of our aid. And by the way, our security professionals are so professional and so highly trained and skilled and intelligent, they've never shot at anyone. Despite what you read, they have never once shot a bullet at anyone. And like I said, it's really moving to see. And you know, the world has a lot of misconceptions about what we're doing. But at the end of the day, we've put 136 million meals directly into the hands of Gazans, and that's why Hamas has a problem with what we're doing.
Chapin Fay, spokesperson of the JHF, thank you so much for this interview.
Thank you.